Hello, welcome to the latest episode of Data Unchained. I'm your host, Molly Presley. If this is your first time joining Data Unchained, let me tell you a little bit about what this podcast is about. Our world has evolved where data has become a very decentralized and very valuable resource. Data is being generated from devices at the edge. It's being in data centers, cloud regions. There's massive compute farms that are getting new information out of data. And harnessing that data is a challenge as we've moved to infrastructures where you're using data in multiple locations and by multiple users and machines. The tools and the technologies available have been evolving rapidly to help you as well. Data Unchained digs into both the problems as well as solutions to help you in this next data cycle. Today I have Stephen Moore joining us. He is the Partner Solution Architect at HP, part of the Business Development Group, and specifically focused on the HP Anyware technology. Welcome to the show, Stephen.
Thank you, Molly. Appreciate being here today. I'm excited to get to talk about data with you and with our audience as well.
So we're at the NAB conference today, and so we're in Las Vegas, just kicking off the morning of, I guess, the third day of the show. You holding up okay?
Oh, it's been a great experience. We've had a lot of great interactions with all different kinds of customers across the broadcast space.
Excellent. And you started in this space, it sounds like, when you were a young man, with interest at least in design. Tell us a little bit about your history.
Absolutely. I started as a very young man. I was 13 years old when I learned how to draw in AutoCAD.
Okay.
So my father taught me to draft, and it was that was the beginning experience with a computer, if you will, build up a machine and that sort of thing. Then I went on to study engineering and ended up designing semi-trailers for a living for a while.
Interesting.
I then used that technology to advance and move into a SolidWorks role as a reseller. So I got into the data exchange when we started to do data management platforms with the SolidWorks platform. So being able to do product data management, or PDM, with that, and be working with the IT teams as well as the engineering teams.
Okay, cool. So now that you're not as young man, but still a young man, and you're working at HP, tell us a little bit about what is HP at maybe the massive corporation doing in the M&E space, and then specific to HP Anywhere, a little bit about that technology.
Oh, of course. Right here today at NAB, we have a really large installation that covers everything from the work that's being done in Autodesk Flame, as well as other types of technologies, including AI. And across the space, we have in our booth the ability to remote into a rack system and show HP Anywhere with Adobe Premiere Pro.
Okay. So I know that HP Anywhere was really one of the, at least the way I think about the technology, when it was the company Teradici back before it was acquired, was really on the forefront of helping remote workers get high performance access to remote data. I mean, I don't know if that was quite the marketing pitch, but you were the first ones really doing that. And then COVID happened, and all these decentralized data requirements became more massive. How has the business changed for you over the last 5 or 10 years?
Well, it started as Teradici, right, the original product, and then HP found value in the Teradici product and acquired it. And so they took Teradici, and they also put in Z-Central Remote Boost in order to combine the products to allow for collaboration and some other feature sets. But the main focus of HP Anywhere is security at the endpoint, as well as putting all of the data in a more centralized location, so that the desktop itself has the data close, but then you also have the opportunity to decentralize the data and spread it across regions as well. So making it more of a hybrid type data structure in the back, and giving the workers the best of both worlds.
Okay. And certainly we see a lot of need for that, like you said, flame artists, but remote creative teams that are not local to their studios, things like that in the media and entertainment space. I know you do a lot of work in government and other vertical markets as well. Maybe talk a little bit about, outside the M&E space, how how the HP Anywhere technology is being used?
Yeah, so HP Anywhere gets used in M&E heavily. It's across post-production, pre-production, all of those types of workloads, but also in other verticals as well, like AEC and manufacturing, including product design, as well as Fed and government work, and even healthcare for that matter. So they all operate very similarly. They have different requirements, however. So some require a bit more security. They go with multi-factor authentication methodologies to get into the remote machine, and then have that high-performance machine capability at their fingertips.
Okay. And so how does this play into a customer who has maybe a cloud-first initiative or went to the cloud and came back? Maybe we take a step back and talk just about, does this help a customer as they're trying to go to the cloud or maybe move away from the cloud? What is your thought on those initiatives?
Absolutely. A lot of customers have actually tried it before. They've tried VDI, as it's called,
right.
And they may have had lackluster results. That's no longer the case. It actually is a much more performant system now today, following the COVID era that accelerated all of the capabilities and functionality inside the systems, being able to do that type of work with a very high performance desktop.
Okay.
Things like transmitting 4K or 60 frames a second type workloads across very, very distant systems. So for me, I work on a system that's in Houston, where my home office is, and be able to go back to a data center in Iowa. And I use that system all the time. Works great.
And does it require specialized tools on the user's machine? Is it pretty transparent? Use your desktop the way you want. It just happens to be that you have access to remote data?
There's a whole bunch of options for that. So from the endpoint's perspective, or the client side, where I was in Houston, I could be using an iPad, I could be using a Mac OS or Windows machine, I could be using a Linux machine, or even a thin client or zero client on the end.
Okay.
I can also use on the other side, on the what we call the agent side, or the data center system, I can use Windows machines, Linux machines, or even Mac OS if it's available.
So in a world where they're not using HP Anywhere, what are the tools that customers have today? Can they just not work remotely, or is it kind of higher latency VDI? What does it look like today, and what does it look like in the future when they move over to HP Anywhere?
There's a lot of options out there. I'd be naive to say there's no competition in the space, but there absolutely is, and there's high requirements for some customers. They choose the higher performance tool, but there's also other tools as well. I mean, there's lower fidelity tools. There's tools that can't do the security the way that it really should be done on an enterprise level, and so there are tools available for that. Not to name a name, but there's some out there.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed when talking to our joint customers that there's a difference in working remotely on a copy of data and working remotely on the active data set. So when a user, a developer, whoever it is working with their data, and it can actually be the primary set of data, and they're accessing the remote data, instead of taking off their own forked copy, making changes, but not really knowing what changes are happening with another user, somewhere in another location. That's a big deal to them. This copy management and real-time workflows and things like that. And I'm quite certain that with the HP Anywhere technology, there's no need necessarily to work with copies of data unless
not at all.
You choose to.
Not at all.
Purposely.
For the editor, let's bring it back to M&E or broadcast. Mm-hmm. For an editor that's working on a video file that they're trying to get out, and they're trying to get out quickly. They're in a broadcast kind of workflow that's very expedient. Mm-hmm. They need to get that approval from the producer quickly.
Right.
How do they do that? Well, transmitting an actual file to the producer, getting them to give a markup, send it back, that's time lost. It's unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And those types of time latencies are not required anymore.
Okay.
You can use HP Anywhere to do collaborative sessions where the producer just actually looks at the same screen that the editor is looking at in a high fidelity fashion with the same bit rates, 4K, 60 hertz as well.
Okay, very cool.
So they can do that immediate and have a very responsive experience.
Okay. And for those listening to the podcast, we'll put it in the show notes. We have a really cool demo of a Flame creative team working with HP Anywhere on their desktops using the Flame tools, which are very latency sensitive, and then collaborating on Hammerspace, global data environment, so our global file system, to be the data plane in the background, unifying those environments. And it was the first time, if you look at this demonstration, it was the first time that Flame users actually could work remotely. And it takes this kind of stack that gives you the latency and collaboration capabilities necessary. And you brought up Flame, kind of at the beginning, and when you can see those really data-intensive workflows starting to even work decentralized, I think it shows that we're kind of arriving at a new way of workflows running in our space.
Oh, that's absolutely true. And the possibility of having a remote user or maybe multiple editors working on a project in multiple regions across the world is something that Hammerspace enables for them as well.
So, Stephen, we've talked a lot about the collaboration of the workforce remotely. Certainly, access to compute power is a hot topic for everyone these days. In the media space, when you're thinking about rendering, how do you see that will work looking forward in these kind of hybrid environments?
Well, I see the end user as having a lightweight device of some kind, and then remoting into the edge and having a high-powered system that maybe isn't as high-powered as they need it to be to do a full rendering, maybe even a full animation video, or maybe it's a VFX studio doing lots of computations. That type of workload is then going to be offloaded to a secondary area, whether that's public cloud, whether that's a high-powered other type of system or rendering farm that they're going to be using as part of that whole solution.
Okay. And it's hard to not talk about AI in any conversation right now, but where do you see AI workflows, whether it's more generically across industries or specific in media, going that kind of follows that same line of thinking?
Oh, I think it's going to be the same type of architecture. You're going to see an endpoint device that either has the capability on board to do local inferencing, and then you're going to be remoting into a system that's a bit more performant, that's maybe at the edge, that has the ability to do a bit more functionality or quicker functionality. And then for the data scientists and those that are going to be training, they're actually going to be offloading into a similar farm to train the LLM models and that sort of thing, where you have a whole bunch of cores available to you, high frequency type machines, and then storage available as well across that entire network.
And do you envision in the media and entertainment space that using LLMs will be part of an artist or designer's day-to-day workflows? How is that going to play out? Or maybe how is it already?
It's already starting to play out. We can see that across the Adobe suite of products. Mm-hmm. They are using a lot of AI in their products, and I see that even getting better in all of the products across the industry. You're going to start to see a lot of that usage to remove trees or to remove extra things that are in the shot that don't need to be in the shot, or vice versa. They need to add more grass or something that's just not available, and they can't take the shot again because it's too costly.
Right.
Using AI is going to get them to a better finished product much quicker than they could do it by going out and doing a reshoot or something that's very costly.
Okay, makes sense. Hey, thank you for stopping by the booth and taking time out of your day. It's a very busy show for all of us, for sure. Appreciate you joining the Data Unchained podcast, and certainly we look forward to maybe talking with you folks again in the future, maybe in a different market.
Oh, that would be wonderful. We'd love to do that. So to let people know how to get a hold of me, if you want, if that's okay, you can reach out to me on social, on LinkedIn for Stephen Moore and HP. You can find me there, or you can find the product offering as well for hp.com/anywhere.
Okay, perfect. And certainly HP Anywhere, like we've mentioned, is very popular here in the media and entertainment space, but across government, healthcare, other markets, and a lot of our listeners are from other industries. I think checking out their solutions and their use cases in your industry as well is a great idea.
That's excellent. So thank you so much for your time.
You bet. Thanks, Stephen.
Let me have this opportunity.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Data Unchained, powered by Hammerspace. To learn more, visit hammerspace.com. If you have a guest you would like to hear on the show, email me at molly@hammerspace.com.